Okay, here we go. The last days of Elul here. Are we? We're in the middle. But in my book, I'm the last days of Elul. Something to note, on the 18th day of Elul, so today's the 12th day, on the 18th day is the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe. So it's a spiritually significant day. And you should know that when the 18th comes, there's only 12 more days until Rosh Hashanah. Each of those 12 days correspond to each of the 12 months in the year. So you can rectify each of those 12 months of the year by making resolutions, reflecting on those days and making resolutions for the future. So the 18th itself refers to Tishrei, and then you have the 19th, which would be for the month of Cheshvan, and so on and so forth. So we'll talk maybe about that when we get closer to the 18th of El. Okay, let's continue. The main thing I want to talk about today, I don't know, but we're going to talk about Slichas. So Slichas is something we're going to start. Slichas means like supplications. Slach means like forgiveness. And we begin those prayers. There's a special book called the Slichas book that we will say the last week of El, the week in which Rosh Hashanah falls, we're going to be saying Slichas every day. So it starts on after Shabbat, after Shabbos, Motzei Shabbos, after Chatzos. So here, most places it's after 1 a.m. Here in Detroit, it's like 1:30 in the morning, which is fantastic. There'll be a chazan that gets up there. Men and women can go. But to your regular Chabad house. The chazan will get up there. He'll borrow a talis. He's the only one that wears a talis. He'll borrow one because it's he can't say a blessing. There's a doubt whether he can say a blessing, so he always borrows a talis. And Hasidim have the custom to go into Slichas, the first night of Slichas, a little like, after saying a little l'chaim, which shows on our confidence that Hashem is going to forgive us because we are children of Hashem. And a child has, in a healthy relationship, a parent has conditional love, and there's nothing they can do there's nothing a child could do that could ever sever the relationship. We're talking about in a healthy relationship. Just one thing I want to interrupt. Moshe, you asked me whether there is the custom to fast any of the days before Rosh Hashanah. Yes, I just read. There is a custom. I don't know if anybody does it, but there's a custom to fast the day before Rosh Hashanah. I don't do it. But you can't fast the entire day. You only can fast. You have to eat something at least before Rosh Hashanah begins because you're not allowed to go into Shabbos or Yom Tov fasting. FYI. Yeah, that's across the board.
I think it was up to noon, I believe. Not sure.
Up until the afternoon you can fast?
Yes, I believe
it says
so.
over here in the Shevach HaMoed.
Don't quote on me.
Yeah, so it says over here, just make sure you taste something before. It just says make sure you taste something before Rosh Hashanah commences, because you can't go into Rosh Hashanah. And obviously you can't eat a big meal because you're not supposed to eat a big meal before a Shabbos or a holiday. So FYI. Okay. So we're going back. The last week, so the week of Rosh Hashanah will begin, Rosh Hashanah begins on a Friday night, which is interesting, Shabbos. Here's a quiz question. What is something we will not do on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, which we will do on the second day of Rosh Hashanah?
Shofar.
Shofar, correct. We will not blow the shofar. If you were at a shul that blows the shofar on the first day of Rosh Hashanah, you're not in the right shul. We do not blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. Shabbos itself, and the reason is because the rabbis made a decree that it could be that you don't live within an Erev. Yeah, you're in a place where you can't carry, right? You can only carry something on Shabbos if you're in an Erev, or if you're in a private domain, such as a house. We're afraid that someone might not be so learned in how to blow the shofar, and they're going to want to go to their rabbi, and they'll carry it in the street and ask the rabbi, how do you blow this? Can you blow this for me? And then it'll be a problem. He'll have carried in outside of on Shabbos, carried something you're not supposed to carry. So they said you can't blow the shofar. The big question is, how could the rabbis come and uproot a mitzvah from the Torah? There's a mitzvah from the Torah to blow the shofar. And the rabbis come 2,000 years later and say, oh, no, we're not going to do that anymore. And the answer is, on a Hasidic level, which is the only answer that makes sense to me, Shabbos itself is whatever the shofar was going to accomplish. Spiritually, Shabbos itself accomplishes that. So you're not missing out. But we don't blow the shofar on Shabbos, which means the service will be shorter. Okay, now so Shabbos begins Friday night, so that means the Saturday night before that will begin slichas. We will not say slichas on Sunday because we said it's Saturday night, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we will say slichas in the morning before Shachris. Friday will be a very long slichas. And Friday's a very busy day. So Friday, moving on to Friday, which will be Erev Rosh Hashanah, we have a lot of customs that we do. We get a haircut, cut your nails, wash your clothes, take a shower, hot shower. It's got to be a hot shower or a hot bath. Men go to the mikvah. A big mitzvah, a big custom is to go to the resting place, a cemetery. So if you, like I said yesterday, if you live near New York, the best thing to do is to go to a tzaddik, a grave of a tzaddik, of a righteous person, and you ask Hashem, you ask them to talk to Hashem and help rectify the previous year and have a good year for the future, because souls, right? These souls now live closer to Hashem. They're abiding closer to Hashem, and so therefore they can intercede on our behalf. If you can't go to a tzaddik, it's good to go to a relative or something like that. We don't hang out there. One thing you should know about going to the grave of a tzaddik, of a righteous person, if you live near, none of you do. None of you live near one. Neither do I. You tuck your okay, we don't eat, but we specifically drink. Men, you tuck in your tzitzis when you go to the cemetery. That's across the board, because they can't do mitzvahs. People who have already passed can't do mitzvahs, and it's like embarrassing them, like, haha, I can do a mitzvah which you can't do, so we sort of conceal our mitzvahs. Okay, so we go there and we intercede. It's a good idea to write a letter to a tzaddik, and I can tell you more about that. We do hataras nedarim for the men. Men do hataras nedarim. You sit in groups of 3. Women take care of this on Kol Nidre. What is hataras nedarim? Hataras nedarim is the annulment of vows. Any vow, anything that you committed to doing in the previous year. Jews are very much against the Torah itself, which was last week's parsha, or 2 parshas ago. We don't try to do vows. Vows are not a big thing. They're very dangerous, because if you don't fulfill the vow, then it's a sin. So we stay away from them. Now, there's certain things there's a concept called the chazaka, which if you start doing something for 3 times in a row, like in an established way, it's like as if you made a vow. And we make resolutions and vows all the time unknowingly. So we try to annul those, and we annul them by sitting with 3 other men, and we say this whole passage. You should say it in a language that you understand. It's in the siddur. I know all of my vows, any vows that I have, anything. In other words, the idea is whatever tied me down to the past, whatever is tying me down in my past, a vow is like it ties you down. I'm releasing myself of that. I'm a new person now. I'm becoming a new person. So we annul them. The big time that we do that is Kol Nidre. Yeah, you guys have heard Kol Nidre. What's Kol Nidre? What does that even mean? Kol Nidre means all of my vows. Shvisin and Betelim and Vatolim. If you read the text of Kol Nidre, which is like beautiful, Kol Nidre, Hanunei. It's like beautiful. And what are we saying? Anything that I did that tied myself to you, God, I released them. It's as if they never existed. They're blown up into pieces. It's like a very weird idea, but it's a beautiful idea, because the idea is I'm a new person now. Whatever habits that I had in the past, I'm removing them, and now I'm going to create new healthy habits. So we do that on Erev Rosh Hashanah. Women do that really on Yom Kippur. If you're married, your husband, I guess it helps that your husband does it, but really you do it on Yom Kippur. You should say the text on Yom Kippur. Don't ask me why women wait till Yom Kippur to do it. You can ask. I'm sure the rabbi will give a class on the Rosh Hashanah sitting over here, and maybe he'll bring it up. You guys can bring it up. So moving on, there are those that fast on Rosh Hashanah until after Mincha, Moshe, until after Mincha, it says. And then you should eat something. What else do we do? So the day of Erev Rosh Hashanah is a day that we dedicate to a lot of study. If you don't already know this, we're saying extra chapters of Psalms, of Tehillim every day. which is a Hasidic custom, but it's a good idea. We spend the day. You should really not the Erev Rosh Hashanah, which will be very difficult, which is a Friday, because you should be busy cooking. If you're cooking at home, maybe you're not, or maybe you're catering, which is great. That's also fantastic. I envy you. You should really be busy. You should try to stay very busy so you don't get into anything you shouldn't do. That's in general. Any Erev Yom Tiv, you should always try to be very busy with stuff, doing good things, so you don't have time to mess up. You should daven longer, and you should say a little more Tehillim. No interesting custom. I know someone that does this. The entire Rosh Hashanah itself, they don't talk. For 48 hours, they don't talk. In other words, they just say prayers and Kiddush and whatever, but they don't say anything else. And all of their spare moments are dedicated to saying words of Tehillim. We don't really learn. It's not a day of learning. Rosh Hashanah is not really a day of learning. It's a day of crowning God king, showing our allegiance and our desire for God to rule over us. That's why the challah is round. That represents, we said this yesterday, that represents like a crown. We go to tashlich, which is water. Water is connected with kingship, with malchus. We blow the shofar, which is like a trumpet. And we just say words of prayer and words that crown God's king. And that's why Tehillim, it's a day dedicated to Tehillim, 48 hours. Even if you live in Israel, where you normally only celebrate one day of Yom Tiv, you celebrate 2 days of Yom Tiv. Rosh Hashanah is 2 days. The text of Kiddush Friday night is longer because you have to say the text of Shabbos and the text of what's it called, of Rosh Hashanah. On the first night we dip the apple. So the order of, I'm just going through this very quickly, and we'll go through it again. The order of, so Friday night you go to shul, and it's Rosh Hashanah. It's a shortened Shabbos service, and a little bit, and then we change a little bit the Rosh Hashanah service. You make sure you add the inserts for Shabbos. Now you should have what's called a machzor for Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah has its own siddur. Yom Kippur has its own siddur. It's called a machzor le-Yom Kippur. Make sure you have your own siddur. A machzor, if you go to shul, they'll have a machzor for you. Everything's in there. You just follow the beauty of a siddur and a machzor. It tells you the order. Siddur means order. It just tells you exactly what to do. Just follow the pages along. We make Kiddush Friday night, and then we wash our hands make the hamotzi. Now, usually the hamotzi bread, the challah is round, like I just said, and it's sweet, and we dip it in honey. We're going to be dipping all of our bread in honey till Hoshana Rabbah, until the last day of Sukkot, because we want to bring on sweetness, and there are certain foods that we eat. Like people eat carrots. They have the custom to eat carrots on Rosh Hashanah, because in Yiddish it's called merin, and merin means more, also because we want more blessing. Sweetness, because we want a lot of sweetness in our life. You make Kiddush, you make the hamotzi. My wife makes like a sugar challah, honey challah. She makes a honey challah. It's amazing. You can't eat it with like chicken, but it's delicious. You dip it in, and then we do the apple and the honey, and we say a couple blessings, Bori Priya Eitz, and then there's something called the Yehi Rotzen, may it be for a sweet year, and then you eat it, and then you enjoy your meal, and then it's just a regular meal. And it shouldn't be frivolous. Okay, to be honest with you, it shouldn't be frivolous. But if you come to my house, I have a lot of different types of guests, thank God, usually, and I talk about whatever will be of interest to everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be so square and rigid. That's not the Chabad house way. When I was in yeshiva, didn't talk. I followed the rules well and good. Okay, now, sorry, women like candles. You'll like candles. Women will like candles only for Rosh Hashanah. And just like mention a couple things. I didn't prepare like so much for today because I saved it for next week. But I'll just say women women should light candles the first night before Shkia, right? You should have a 48-hour candle lit, at least a 48-hour candle lit. Not a Shabbos candle, but just like a memorial candle, a 48-hour candle lit, because on the second night of Rosh Hashanah, you can only light the candles from an existing flame. You cannot do any, right? Because you can't make a flame, you can't create a flame on Shabbos. So you have to wait till Shabbos is out. And then preparations for the second night of Rosh Hashanah can only begin once Shabbos is over. Yeah, because you can't prepare from one day from the next. So if you live here in Michigan, it's like you can't prepare until about 9, 10. Probably by you, it's more like 8:30, wherever you are. It's everybody else. It's pretty late, yeah. But it's fine. It's all good. It's all fine, hunky-dory. What else was I gonna say? Okay, there's that. Let me just see something. I'm just looking through the book over here. It talks about how to actually, you should give a lot of tzedakah before Rosh Hashanah. You should always give tzedakah, because if you're generous, then Hashem will be generous with you, amongst many other things. You cannot, so you cannot even cook food. You cannot even cook food on right until after Shabbos is over. Now you can't cook on Yom Tiv, right? We know that. You can't create a flame, but you can turn up a flame. You can't turn down a flame. But you can cook. We have what's it called? We have platas. We have so it's in Hebrew. In Spanish called a plata. Like a warming plate, warming tray. We have those electric warming trays, so we just stick it on there right after Shabbos comes out. Then we daven. Saturday night, the prayer service is short. Surprisingly, people forget. Yom Kippur night is very long. People forget that. But Rosh Hashanah, they think like, oh, Rosh Hashanah is like 20 minutes. It's like nothing. And they come Yom Kippur, they think, oh, it'll be 20 minutes. Then it's like an hour and a half. It's very long. But hopefully your bellies are very full, so it should be all right. Then, okay, I'm not going to get too much more into it. Make sure when you eat the bread, you have a good meal. You should have a good hearty meal. Nothing spicy. Try not to have anything spicy or sharp during the meals, because we don't want to spicy in a negative way. Obviously there's other things to spice up your life, but we don't want sharp foods at our table. It's more focused on sweetness, a sweet New Year. Hashanah tova umetuka. You'll hear people say it should be a good year and a sweet year, umetuka. And then you have the Birkat Hamazon, the blessing after the meal, which make sure you have the inserts on Friday night. Make sure you have the inserts for Shabbos and for Rosh Hashanah. Okay, I'm going to stop here, and I'll save the rest of the laws for, it's going to be like too much. So I'm going to stop here. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, Vilma, have any questions, or was that a clap that I did a good job? Thanks.
The resolution looks really nice on the video. I think I updated my Zoom and it just looks really sharp.
Actually, I washed my face today. No, I'm just kidding. That's great. Adam, any questions? Moji?
Yeah, is there?
I just wanted to laugh.
Wait, Moji, sorry, Adam had a question. Sorry, Adam, say it again. Sorry.
I think I read somewhere. Is there special significance to Psalm 27 during the month of Elul?
Yeah, we say it every day of the month of El. Correct. I'm sorry. Sorry, maybe I should have mentioned. We say that every day in the middle of Shachris and Mincha, Psalm 27. There's one thing I ask from you. This is one of my favorite lines inside the whole psalm. One thing I ask from you, God, is just to sit in your kingdom, just to be with you. That's the idea. Yes, we say it every single day. Shachris and Mincha. It's a custom. It's not like a law. We don't have to say it, but we do.
Thank you.
Good question. Adam, Moshe, you have a question?
No, Rabbi. I was just laughing at your joke. You wash your face.
Why
I don't know if everybody got that.
Who said I'm joking? Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody. That's it. So that's it. Well, tomorrow, Rabbi Schneider's class, or whatever classes we have. Wilhelm gives a class. Enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll continue these laws, maybe even later this week. Okay. Sei gesund.
All right, give me your prayers. I'm over here waiting for a hurricane, so.
You'll be all right. Give me a break. I was in North Carolina. I got hurricanes all the time, too. Give me a break. Nothing's going to happen to you. All right, I'll give you my prayers. Everything will be fine. You'll be fine. God should bless you to keep you safe, secure, happy, and joyful. You're gonna be.
Baruch Hashem.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Roberto, sorry, I ended the class early, but we'll catch you another time. Okay, everybody, I'll see you. Be well. Good luck.